we had Scream 7 come out this week. Very quickly, before we jump into this movie, I just wanted to do a little bit of how did we get here to Scream 7.
Oh.
Obviously, we've had 6 Scream movies before this, but, Scream 5, that was kind of the reboot that came out 2021, or 22, I think, beginning of 2022 came out. Pretty big success. Everyone liked it, bringing, obviously the whole cast back together. Scream 6, Neve Campbell didn't come back because of the pay dispute. She didn't get a high enough salary, whatever, so they continued with the new story. You had Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega leading it from 5 and 6, and kind of their story of these sisters and her, Melissa Barrera's connection to Billy Loomis, all that stuff. 6 was pretty good. We both liked that movie a lot.
It's my second favorite.
Then, it's a fun movie. So then, Scream 7 obviously got announced, and then just a barrage of shit happened.
Changed, yeah.
So, starting off with just the cast, Melissa Barrera. Obviously, the star of this kind of new, what they were probably planning as a trilogy.
Yep.
She, made some comments about Israel and Palestine conflict, whatever. Not going to get into politics here, but made comments. Paramount didn't like what she said, so they fired her. Following that, Jenna Ortega, she left the production. A lot of people think it was kind of in solidarity with her.
Yeah.
She said it was kind of Wednesday season 2 scheduling things. Who knows? Maybe we'll never know. After that, the director, Christopher Landon, he came on for this movie after the dudes from Radio Silence did 5 and 6.
Which Christopher Landon would have been a good choice. That's a good fit for the Scream franchise.
We'll talk about that probably a little bit, where, he did Happy Death Day movies, Freaky, Drop from last year, which is good. But after those casting, decisions made by the studio and whatever, he started getting some fucking death threats. And then he's like, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm not going to be here. So, in a matter of weeks, your 2 main stars and your director's gone from this fucking movie. And then they kind of did an overhaul. They spent, I think $500,000 on a rewrite of this movie, brought in Kevin Williamson, longtime writer and creator of this franchise, to write and direct. And then they brought Neve Campbell back in the lead role. Obviously paid her enough money, however much she wanted.
They're like, we're so sorry.
We're like,
we'll clean it up.
We'll reference it in this movie
16 times. We'll bring it up that you weren't in Scream 6.
Yeah, and that's kind of how this movie came about. It's been a long, very troubled couple-year history since Scream 6 came out. Mason, I want you to start out with Scream 7 here and your thoughts. I think we'll do a little generic things like we do with a lot of bigger movies, generic thoughts, and then we'll dive into the spoilers, because it's fun to talk about who's the killer and all that type of stuff.
I mean, it would be if the killer was anything interesting, but when we get to it, it'll
be interesting to shit on it a little bit.
It'll be interesting to shit on, because it is one of the most lackluster killer reveals. It is the most lackluster killing reveal in this franchise to date. But going into this, you brought up Scream 5 and 6. The first time I saw Scream 5, which I think you and I watched together, I didn't like it. I really was annoyed by it. Upon rewatches, it grew on me a lot, and I actually do really enjoy that movie. It's not one of my favorites, but I still really enjoy watching it. Scream 6, I love. I love the shift to New York. I didn't miss Neve Campbell in Scream 6. I was kind of fine with it, and I liked continuing with this new cast and these new characters. Kind of wish we would have gotten that in this one, because this feels like... What I'm going to liken this to is The Rise of Skywalker. Where it's like, we had a plan and now it's not going according to plan. So we're changing the plan back to something that's more safe and in line with kind of our roots. And let's take it back to, Woodsboro. Let's involve more of the original cast, or at least talk about Stu Maher a lot. And let's bring back Matthew Lillard. There's just a lot of, try-hard, nostalgia-baiting things in this movie that really, sullies it and just hinders the movie in every sort of creatively intelligent or interesting or thrilling or new, fun, fresh way. It's just so bland. I had some hopes with Kevin Williamson coming on as at least writing. The directing was kind of let's see how this works out. He hasn't directed a movie since a movie I'd never heard of, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, from maybe the 90s or whatever. I have no idea what the fuck that movie is. But so what? Okay, we got some of the cast from 5 and 6. We got Mason Gooding coming back. We got Jasmine Savoy Brown. We got Joel McHale coming in too. There's characters, there's actors in this movie that I like. But what this movie chooses to do with it bastardizes some of my favorite characters. And it movies don't typically offend me because they're movies. Even in horror movies, when I was a kid and I get scared, I'm like, it's just a movie. You're fine. It's just a movie. If something starts to offend me, it's just a movie. But what one of the co-creators of Scream, who is coming back for the 7th kind of venture into the franchise, kind of like a revamp, bring it back to the basics, kinda. How they bastardize some of the fan favorite characters, mostly Stu Macher, offended me. I was like, really? This is what you're gonna do? You're gonna sully your own characters' names in this kind of weird, shitty AI subplot. But we'll get into that a little bit more in the conversation.
Yeah.
Overall, I was so let down by this movie. It was laughably bad at times. It's not the worst movie ever made. Sorry, John Campy. I'm a big fan of you, but it's not. But it is one of the dumbest things I've seen in a long time, and it is probably currently my least favorite film of 2026. It's a toss-up between this and Whistle. Quality-wise, Whistle, like, they're both not great, but Whistle didn't piss me off as much as Scream 7 did, just because I'm like, I have a little bit of expectation. I really enjoy this franchise so far. Neve Campbell coming back, well, I didn't miss her in Scream 6. Okay, welcome to have you back. We'll go back to Woodsboro, but you're doing nothing new with this old setting, with these established characters, so this was just a fucking stale fart in the wind.
You made the comparison to Rise of Skywalker. What I was sort of thinking of as a comparison was kind of a combination of the last two Mission Impossible movies.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of comparable franchises in a way, where the first 6 movies of both franchises, people were like, one of the most consistent action franchises for Mission Impossible, consistent horror for Scream. The 7th movie starts to take a turn into AI-centered things, and kind of losing a little bit of what made the previous entries really good. So that's kind of what I was thinking of, but I totally agree. This is a very safe movie, and a big part of it is kind of why I want to talk about the background of it, is because I felt like the end of Scream 6 is actually really interesting, of Melissa Barrera's character, of where she's going. And, you know, spoiler alert for Scream 6, but she's the daughter of Billy Loomis.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, that could be a cool little, like, trilogy capper of almost what The Strangers Chapter 3 thought it was maybe trying to do, which is worse which is very, very bad. But of kind of being like, oh, is she going to become a ghost-faced killer? Is she going to be involved in it in any way? That's interesting. And you can feel that they were like, all right, we need to kind of course correct and just make something that is mass appeal of like another neighborhood Scream, a couple Ghostface, whatever. There's not what this movie lacks so much is the creativity and the kind of the meta critique that has always been a part of Scream movies, where every time, like, that's why the original is one of my favorites, because it's just the way that it dissects what horror had been before that, but also having fun with that and being a new creative movie was so great. And in the sequels, even playing on the Stab movies, being within this universe and doing that, this movie feels like a Stab movie.
Yeah.
It feels like
fanfic.
Yeah, 100%.
Fanfic version of what an actual Scream movie would be.
And it sucks because, like, we talked about Kevin Williamson coming in to write and direct, and it's, to quote Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith, you've become the very thing you swore to destroy.
Yeah.
It's really reached that full circle moment, and it just didn't have any interesting things to say about the horror genre. It was just kind of bland and generic. So, it's very disappointing. To put out a few positives in this part of the review before we jump into spoilers, I think Neve Campbell being back, like you said, is great. She's one of the best Scream queens of all time. She's loved and respected by everybody. Her relationship with her daughter, played by Isabel May, who I'm not super familiar with. I know she's on some of the Taylor Sheridan, like 1883 and Yellowstone, all that type of stuff. I like their relationship, and I thought that she was really good in the movie. I'm excited to see more of her in other stuff. And I thought they had some sweet moments with how her character got her name. We talked about that.
Yep, that is my favorite aspect of this movie. I'm like, this is the one maybe fresh, somewhat poignant idea you've presented in this entire film. Is anytime Sydney talks about her daughter, or, hey, this is my daughter Tatum, and people are like, you named her after one of the girls that got killed by the garage door in the first. She's like, I named her after my friend. Like, you're saying this victim of this horrific killing, but I've known that girl, and that was my friend. And I'm like, oh, this is a good thing that you're doing. Do more of that. Oh, you're not gonna? Okay, all of this is just kind of throwaway retread, falling into your own mess? upsetting because like that could be something really special. And at times I was like, okay, you're kind of winning me over a little bit. You're kind of smoothing over some of the rough edges of this movie with just that even small plot point.
And I think the idea of the daughter of somebody so prevalent in, real, like, in the movie universe of real life, but then having movies made about her, and she's like, I know things about you through movies, but, like, every time I ask you about it here, like, you don't tell me anything. I think they started to dive into that. And if they would have committed to that, I think that would have been so much more interesting, because anytime it was focused on their relationship, I thought it was really, really good. I think that's kind of our general thoughts of the movie. Disappointing.
I will say I really like Mason Gooding coming back. I love him as an actor. I think he's really fun, and I like his character. I think he's just a good presence on screen. I wish, like, the reasoning for why his character is back in this movie really made sense. It kind of just felt like, oh, they're here because we need to have some sort of carry through with the last two films. It was like, it was so forced, and I was just like, you've showed no interest in this career path, but now you're working for Gale Weathers. Okay, fine. So yeah, I like Mason Gooding a lot, so that's kind of more of a bias thing, I guess.
Yeah, so as big fans of the Scream franchise up until this point, this one was very disappointing. To dive into spoilers now, if you haven't seen Scream 7, go check it out, come back, or
don't check it out.
Go support movie theaters. That's about the only reason, maybe.
Yeah.
To go see the movie.
Buy a ticket and then just go.
Go see Send Help again or something.
Go see Send Help.
Good luck, have fun, don't die.
Go see that. Movie. That movie actually needs it. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, spoiler talk for this movie. You kind of mentioned the Mason Gooding and that of it all. The connective tissue between the kind of Scream 5 and 6 and 7. You can feel that because Mason Gooding and Jasmine Savoy Brown come back as the niece and nephew of Randy's character from the first couple movies. I don't really fully understand how that works anymore. Whatever, they say they're the niece and nephew.
They're somehow tied to the family lineage.
Yeah. They're with Courtney Cox in the movie. They're all kind of a reporting team now. Obviously, Gale Weathers has been a reporter for a long time. But they come into the movie and they run over the first Ghostface after the scene in the house where he's stabbing through the walls, which part of that is an okay scene. Going into the panic room, just stay in the fucking panic room.
Why are you leaving? You get in the panic room. Okay, we got in here. Our safe place. All right, let's get out through the wall. Let's exit immediately. We got to go find your dad.
Breathe heavy in the walls.
Let's breathe heavy, but we got to go find your dad, who is an accomplished cop. Like, he is in charge of the situation of trying to locate Ghostface. Yeah, he was stabbed, but, like, getting stabbed in this movie universe means nothing. Characters get stabbed 80,000 times. Mason Gooding. I like Scream 6 a lot. Mason Gooding gets stabbed, like, maybe 16 times at the end of the movie, and he's just on a gurney at the end of the movie, like, oh yeah, I'll be fine.
He'll make it.
It's just like, what is that? Okay, fine. So all right, we're safe. No, let's go out through the thin wall. Yeah. Oh, there's a fire poker that he can stab us with. Yeah, nice. It's so some of the dumbest writing.
Dumb decisions, but it leads to Courtney Cox and the crew from Scream 6 hitting him with a car, and then they really don't have a purpose the rest of the movie besides that one kill. Really? Like, the Mason Gooding and Jasmine Savoy Brown, they kind of go with the other kids, the teenagers, and they're doing the sit-down scene of, like, we could all be suspects, and we have to suspect everybody.
From Scream 5, they're just doing a retread of that scene. They're just reading it again. It's just, okay, well, you're the weird guy, you're the boyfriend, you're the one that's definitely into, like, you're the serial killer, like, you're odd.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, we've done this before in this franchise. It's just this franchise becoming its own thing that it was, like, harping on. It's
exactly
like what you said. It's becoming the subject of critique within horror films. And it's just the most, like, over the top, like, how the fuck are you guys messing this up so blatantly bad? So.
And, like, I think within that scene at the restaurant or bar, Jasmine Savoy Brown brings up an idea where she's like, well, this is like a retcon thing that horror franchises do. And I'm like, okay, that is an idea that would be in a previous Scream movie, of playing with the tropes of the genre of, after having just watched all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, of retconning things that happen. Or you can think of Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street, whatever you want to look at.
Every long-running horror franchise is at some point, it's like, let's change
Let's retcon it, which is an interesting thing to comment on in a Scream movie. This is the franchise to do that in. But then I think she has a line where she's like, but I won't get into that. I won't, like, talk about that or something. And I'm like, well, no, that was That should be the point if you're going this direction in this movie.
Unless they're so big-brained that Scream 8's entire point is retconning Scream 7. And they're like, I'm like, okay, then that's something. But I don't think that they're smart enough based on how shitty this movie is.
No. So, and it just, like I said, it lacks the meta critique that the Scream franchise has always had. And then Courtney Cox, she doesn't... The only other thing she has to do in this movie is set up an interview with Neve Campbell, with Sidney Prescott, and try and lure out the killer. And they have a little interview, and then the killer doesn't call until after the interview, and then Sidney leaves.
And who are they thinking the killer is, since this is the spoiler side?
Yeah, so they think it's Stu Macher. We think it's Stu Macher, Matthew Lillard's character from the first Scream movie. Got a TV dropped on his head. Yep. He was one of the 2 Ghostface killers in that movie with Billy Loomis. And yeah, to mention him, let's get into the fucking AI of it all.
So they bring back Stu Macher. I think the first time we see him is he FaceTimes Sidney Prescott.
It's really goofy the way that they do
he's
it.
Just like, it's Matthew Lillard, and I love Matthew Lillard, but it's just so hammed up, and he's just very expressive, and he's being Matthew Lillard from like the final moments of the first Scream movie, just really crazy.
He's having fun.
Yeah. But it's not good.
Not enough.
It's not. No, it's not believable, and it's just like it's cartoony as fuck. And they're doing that, and so Sidney this entire time is like, "What is this? Like a deep fake? Like is it deep fake technology?" And then it brings up the conversation of AI, like, "Oh, is someone's behind this? What's going on?" So while they're trying to figure out, all right, who is this killer? Is it actually Stu Macher? They got to do this detective work of going to this kind of this mental institution where he may have lived, but also didn't he die? Oh, well, there's records of him that got scrapped at the morgue, and it's like, well, okay, so he maybe didn't die, but also, and then there's this janitor who works at the morgue who knew him and said he was kind of weird, and just like, okay, so maybe he did live on. The movie's very non-committal to picking a path, which I get. They want to try and keep the mystery and the suspense, but in doing so, you're towing the line of like, do we bring back kind of a fan favorite character back from the dead, retcon stuff like you mentioned, or do we go down this dumbass subplot of AI and deep fake technology? And I was just like immediately like, AI in film, the way that scripts are handling it and incorporating that into the story, I'm like, it already just rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, just don't touch it, just leave it alone. Yep. Don't mention deepfakes, even though this is the horror franchise that kind of cuts in at current things going on with film or horror specifically. I'm like, just don't touch it. Leave it alone. And it was so hammy and corny and cheesy, and I was laughing at the movie, not with it, to where I was just like, what the fuck are we doing? We're just spinning our wheels on this whole AI subplot where I'm like, I didn't think I'd have to deal with this in a Scream 7. Like, it just felt so wasted. And I was getting to the point where I was like, I didn't want Stu Macher back. Yeah, I like Matthew Lillard, but I don't want that character back. He's dead. Mm-hmm. But I was getting to the point where I'm like, I prefer that over fucking AI. So please, for the love of God, let this character be alive, even though I hate that decision.
Yeah, honestly. And to the laughable nature of it, there's a scene before we get the final Ghostface reveal at the end where Sidney is in, I think it's her house, and the TVs are all going off or something. All the screens in the house are going off. And it's just a carousel of, remember this person? It shows Laurie Metcalf as Billy Loomis's mom from Scream 2. It shows Roman Bridger, Sidney's half-brother from Scream 3. It shows Dewey again. It shows Matthew Lillard in there. It's just like, hey, we got these actors back for a scene, and we can put them on the red carpet for the thing and do this. And it's like, okay, this is just the member berries, the nostalgia trip, and being like, is this enough to win you over? And then we get the final reveal to get about talk about the killers. And it's the janitor that you mentioned from the thing.
From the mental institution.
And then Anna Camp, who we haven't even mentioned in this review because
she's so forgettable.
I'm not very good at clocking like twists in horror movies or in any movie really. Like I'm never really I never guess it really. This one I did. I also did with Scream 5, I think. So I don't know.
Scream 5, Jack Quaid, I was just like, okay. Yeah. I knew Jack Quaid. I didn't know who the accomplice was. I'm usually pretty good at least at like getting one of them, which you and I got one of them, you got the other one. We didn't see it together, but I didn't think Anna Camp, honestly, just because she is so forgettable in this movie. For it to be her, I'm like, what is your motivation? Like, why? Yeah. And her motivation is ludicrous. It's so dumb.
It's insane. Well, first of all, the first reveal is the janitor.
Yeah.
First off, I was like, wait, who? I was like, oh, him. Okay.
When he came up on screen, because I forget the name of that actor, but he was
Ethan Embry.
Ethan Embry. He
Yep.
was in Blind Spotting. He was one of the main characters in that, or main supporting roles in that film. He's also, I believe, in Titane. I think he was in that. I believe he was one of the main. I'll need to fact check that, but I recognized him, and I was like, "You're the right amount of famous,
Sure.
or recognizability to have that killer kind of facade in this franchise." So, and I'm like, they're giving you so much screen time and too many lines for a nothing character, to where I'm like, okay, it's you. And I knew him, like, I was like, it's going to be him for one of them, for sure. And then Anna Camp, and I was like, fucking really? I'm like, what a fucking limp dick ending. I was like, 100%. What is this?
The same, with Anna Camp, the same thing you mentioned, like, the right level of fame where you're like, you're a big enough actor, you're not the lead, you're not the A-lister, but you're here. The reason, I'm still not sure I fully understand, like, why she is a killer now, but Anna Camp's character, she's the neighbor of Sidney Prescott, and she's like, yeah, my husband was really abusive, and I read your books, like, I read Sidney's book that, you put out, and it really got me through it, but then when you weren't in New York, I didn't, referring to Scream 6, she's like, then I was like, well, wait, why, she's not, abiding by her own principles, and then I started to kill you or something. Her reason that she's a killer is because Nev Campbell didn't come back for Scream 6. Like, it's such a half-assed, and that's again a part of the rewrite, the overhaul of this whole movie. It was like, man, this could have been so interesting carrying on the legacy of, like, the characters, the sisters from Scream 5 and 6, while also mixing in Nev Campbell and Courtney Cox. Like, I think you could still have this movie of Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, focusing on them, and still bring Nev Campbell back in this movie with her daughter. I think there's an avenue where you could have done that. But having this just feels like we need a killer, and we can't really just have two, because we have to match, there's three from the last one, so Anna Camp is a mad divorced mom or something? Okay.
Yeah. I feel like this film is the worst version of Scream 4 and Scream 5 mixed together. Of some of the things that they talk about meta, like with what's going on in the franchise in 5 and getting some of those characters, but also in 4 of, like, Nev Campbell having a family member connected to her who is also involved in potentially being hunted down with her niece. Or I believe it was her niece. It was Emma Roberts in that film.
Yep.
But it's just like, I feel like they're hearkening back to something that, again, they've already done in this franchise, and they're just retreading some of the shit, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Which I did not anticipate watching this movie, which the theater I saw it in was relatively full. I did not expect Gale Weathers to get a applause. That was the first applause in a theater I've been in since maybe Endgame. And it was Gale Weathers running over Ghostface and coming out and then saying fuck every other line that she has for at least the first 3 minutes of her screen time. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't think Courtney Cox is the best actress. I don't think anyone's saying that. But every time her badassery Gale Weathers, I was like, okay, just settle down. Like, it's a bit much. I do want to quick correct. Vincent Linden is the guy from Titane. He looks a little bit like Ethan Embry. But I also found out that Ethan Embry was in, Vegas Vacation. He played Rusty in that. Crazy.
Yeah.
Know that.
I think he was in First Man, too.
I believe he was, yeah. But, this movie, I didn't have the highest expectations. Another kind of indicator of that was, they didn't lift the review embargo until, like, maybe right before those Thursday night preview showings. And I was just like, is it because they don't want, like, a spoiler to come out of who the killer is? But I'm also like, nah, it's probably not that. I'm not hearing good things. And then, boom, 44 right off the bat, which this is far and away the worst of the franchise. And, like, there's defenders to 3. It's not like it is the lesser of the previous films, but, like, it's not horrible. This is horrible to me. This was one of the most nauseating movies to watch for the entirety of it. There is that one little subplot of where Tatum's name comes from, and I'm like, I enjoy that. But Joel McHale gets stabbed 18 times.
Also, just a weird casting choice.
Weird casting to be
like, I like Joel McHale.
I liked him. I liked his presence in the movie, but then he's a cop. They're doing renovation in their house. He goes into the garage. He gets stabbed by a ghost face like 16 times, and then left in that garage for maybe 8 hours, and he doesn't fucking bleed out because when they're doing their big climactic reveal, the other two Ghostface drag him out on plastic, and he's like, and I'm like, no, you're dead.
You're not.
You don't get to be alive.
Yeah.
You have lost so much blood. This is bullshit.
You're gone.
Yeah. So, which isn't like necessarily a critique special to this film. It's just that this film gives me nothing good. So all the negatives are hitting harder. This movie is just utter dog shit. I couldn't stand watching it. I was never laughing with the movie. I had one of the weirdest, most interesting theater experiences, which I think you also mentioned that you had a interesting theater experience. I had a gaggle of high school boys, which I can only assume were high school boys, maybe middle school boys with how they were acting, just like yelling at the screen like, oh, fucking get them! I'm like, okay, cool. We know how to say the F word. Good job, guys. And then we had a guy in the front right corner burping out loud for the entire theater to hear and smell. And then just people snickering and just a loud kind of interesting theater going experience, which I always hope going to a horror movie, you kind of get an interesting experience because it is something that gets a reaction out of audiences typically. But on an opening night for a film like this, I'm hoping I'm getting the fans, the diehards, people that don't want to see this movie, so they're going to shut the fuck up and listen and watch the movie. No, I got just the worst people. I had a woman screaming at any time Ghostface was on screen. I'm like, what are we doing? He's not actually scary. Also, this movie is so horribly edited that you're not getting nothing's frightening to you. There's no suspense being built. You can't see any of the scuffles that Ghostface is involved in. He just, like every other movie, comes around a corner and you hear like the little needle drop and then he starts running. Oh God. Oh, it's so scary. We've seen it in every other film. It's just, again, a negative here because this movie's ass. There's nothing really good to save this movie that you can hang your hat on. It's just a horrible retread of a film franchise that has been so clever in the past at dissecting horror that it completely blindsided, missed that, and now it has laid victim to itself. It is everything that it critiques in horror. This film is so bad. One of my least favorite entries into a horror franchise, and that's including all the shitty stuff that comes with Friday the 13th, the shitty stuff that comes with the Halloween franchise, shitty stuff that comes with Nightmare on Elm Street. I would rather watch some of those schlocky, very bad, but somewhat entertaining films because this movie is not entertaining and it bastardizes some of my favorite horror characters. Bullshit movie.
I can't really disagree with most of that. I think just overall, I maybe liked it just a hair more, but it's very marginal. It's like a very C- movie to me. I think there is, like you mentioned, like we've talked about with Neve Campbell and her daughter, some of that's okay. I think, even the nature of this movie where it's like, I don't really like what's happening, but still the mystery of who the killer is still sort of prevalent throughout the movie where I'm like, curious to see what's going on, but on a rewatch, it's not going to hold up, obviously. Also, I just want to quickly mention the opening of this movie goes on for so long.
It's like 20 minutes. It feels like just nails on a chalkboard.
It's
slow.
Jimmy Tatro and Michelle Randolph's characters in like the old Stu Macher's house, and like some of it's okay, but it's just goes on forever. It doesn't really matter at all. It
just drags. This entire movie has no like momentum. It's just a slow moving kind of slog.
Yeah, and it's like we've said, it's such a disappointing movie within this franchise. Having seen a lot of other very shitty horror movies this year, from Return to Silent Hill and Strangers Chapter 3, I like Scream 7 more than those. I'm very much like, this isn't a very good one. It's disappointing for the franchise. There's still some okay stuff. I think, like, there's some kills that are okay. Like, I don't know, McKenna Grace's kill in the movie is kind of interesting, I guess. Like,
it's kind of cool.
It's a theater performance. She's, like, on wires, and she's swinging around. I'm like, okay. There's like a kill in a bar that's very brutal.
I do feel like some of the kills felt too brutal for the Scream franchise.
Felt like a Friday the 13th thing.
Or Halloween with like that tap at in the bar where he just lifts. He's strong enough to lift this kind of like...
Or her. Anna Camp, maybe.
No, it's not Anna Camp.
Who the fuck? When is she?
To lift this child he's probably 16, 17 years old, who's kind of a thick guy, lifts him up and just shish kebabs his head on top of this beer tap, and I'm like, there's no way. He's not Michael Myers. He's not staking him to the wall with a fucking kitchen knife. That's not possible. Yeah. Some of the kill and like the death of Anna Camp, because she dies, is way too brutal. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like Scream 6 gets kind of brutal, and I enjoy it in that. In this, it felt just brutal to be brutal for fuck. Why not? Like it didn't hold anything really interesting within it. In Scream 6, you have Ghostface now has a shotgun in a convenience store. It's like,
Yeah.
oh god.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I like what they're able to do with Scream 6, and here I'm just like, this is just brutal to be brutal. Anna Camp gets shot like 16 times in the face to where she's unrecognizable. I'm like, why? To have a joke about, see, you gotta, alright, now I know how to pull the trigger, or whatever the fuck her little tease or like stinger is at the end of that scene. I'm like, okay, cool, good job, guys.
Yeah. So overall, very disappointing.
No, we loved it.
Yeah. Right. It's it's as Movie Fights alluded to this week. If you haven't watched Movie Fights, go watch that. It's time for this franchise to die. But it looks like it's going to make a decent amount of money, so I'm sure we'll get a Scream 8.
Yeah. Right. Hopefully they talk about retconning Scream 7.
Yeah, maybe bring back Melissa Barrera. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fuck it, whatever.
We fucked up.
Whatever. Yeah.
Christopher Landon.
A very interesting movie, just all around, from the backstory and the background with everything to what actually we got on screen. Very quickly, just wanted to do a little Scream movie ranking. We've had 7 of them now. It's been 30 years of Scream, which is crazy. Yeah. First one came out in 96. We weren't even born yet. So,
no.
My Scream ranking, it's not super easy. I mean, the top and the bottom of the ranking is pretty easy for me, but then the middle's a little murky, where it's like, I can flip around a lot of these. Scream 1, one of my favorite horror movies of all time, like I've mentioned before. So I go 1, 4, 2, 5, 6, 3, 7. With all that being said, some context, like the first 5, I could flip around some of those. Mm-hmm. I think 3 is actually okay. I actually enjoy that a little bit. And 7's a clear last.
Yeah.
The first one is a clear number 1. So, yeah, that would be maybe my ranking.
I feel like everyone's going to agree on the number 1 and the number 7
Yeah,
slot.
probably.
So the first Scream is a classic. It wasn't the first Scream movie I saw. I have a lot of nostalgia for Scream 4. That was the first one I saw. But Scream 1, it's a classic. It's great. Scream 1 is my favorite Scream film. I actually go Scream 6. I think that movie's a little underrated. The only weakness to that movie, which every movie aside from the first Scream has a weakness or a couple of weaknesses that kind of knock it out of contention for that first spot, but is the reveal in Scream 6. I'm like, okay, this is who the killer is. So it's just kind of lackluster. Mm-hmm. But Scream 1, Scream 6, I actually go Scream 4, and then I'd say Scream... it's a toss... right now I'm going to say Scream 5, and then Scream 2, and then that's 3-7. But, yeah, 7's by far and away the worst thing that this franchise has done to date. So, can't recommend it.
Yeah. Let us know your ranking of the Scream movies, your thoughts on Scream 7 in the comments, or send us a video or something. I don't know. Do whatever.
Don't send us a video.
I don't know. Or maybe don't send us a video. I don't know.
That feels like we're going to get weird shit from only my brothers.
Yeah, probably. Actually, yeah, Mason's brothers. Send us a video.
Tyler, send me a video of your thoughts on Scream 7.
Yeah, please. Love to see it.